this broadcast. You saw Creighton. You saw Creighton brings to the table. We're watching Nebraska. I felt like you were one of the few guys that real time, like during the broadcast, didn't make it necessarily about what Creighton wasn't doing, but what Nebraska does do well. When you look at the Big Ten Conference, is there a niche, a place, a role for this Nebraska team to continue doing what they're doing that you think is portable, that gives them a chance to be in the middle of the pack in this conference?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think what's hard is I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to be phony here and get on the radio with you guys and act like I am not completely surprised at how good Nebraska has played so far. I was very worried about this team, to be really honest with you. I was worried about the point guard spot. I was worried about just how athletic they were in terms of somebody creating shots off the dribble. I thought they were putting a lot into Rienk Mast coming off of a major knee surgery. I wasn't sure that Bryce Sanford would become the second coming of Reggie Miller, coming off the transfer portal. So I think Damon, to answer your question, I think so, but I'm also somewhat in real time calibrating how I view this team so far. I've been very impressed with how quickly they have come together. Clearly was a plan in place to go get some 3-point shooting. That has come to fruition. Jamarcus Lawrence is a completely different player, in my opinion, than he was 2 years ago. Rienk Mast has hit the ground running and been outstanding. I mean, he is a problem, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he is better than he was 2 years ago, and he was good 2 years ago. He has developed a little bit of they're setting on-ball screens for him, and he's able to kind of come off it and make some things happen. I've always said that what Fred Hoiberg likes the most is a versatile big guy, whether it's Derek Walker or Niang or Royce White, and Rienk Mast fits it perfectly right now. So Coach Hoiberg has done a good job of putting Mast in unique positions and allowing that to kind of unlock everything. Frager has hit the ground running faster than I thought he would too. It's never a question of physically with Frager. It's always kind of mentally how he could have. I was always interested in how he would maybe handle shot selection and fitting into a defensive.
You would know better than most.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him a lot. He played, for people that don't know, he played for my brother. He played for my brother at Lincoln Southwest, so I saw a lot of Frager. And listen, man, when that dude was right, it was like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But there were moments where mentally things would kind of get away from him with shot selection or just frustration, but he has looked good. I just think this coaching staff's done a nice job. They're unique, man. That no middle defense, if you haven't seen it, can kind of discombobulate you. Sometimes the game can come down to how well you shoot the three and how much you settle for threes against Nebraska. So they're a unique team to go against on that end of the floor. And then just that 3-point shooting and the Rienk Mast piece of it makes them difficult to guard on the offensive end. And so, and they're older, like Coach Mack said, and I even said it. They got a bunch of guys that they know how to win, and all they give a crap about is winning. Whether it's Sam or Kale or Rienk or Jamarcus, they have even Bryce Sanford to a certain extent. Like that guy you can tell he's just totally focused on doing what it takes to win. So yeah, I mean, I've seen nothing that leads me to believe that this isn't portable and replicable as we move forward. But certainly when you get in the Big Ten, it's going to be it's going to be even more challenging than what Nebraska's seen thus far.
Okay, so there's a bunch of things that you said there that I want to talk about. So I'm going to try and streamline this as much as possible. I want to start with what you said about kind of the Nebraska roster coming into this year, because I think much like you, and I think a lot of people looked at this roster like individual by individual, and we're not blown away, right? We're like, yeah, I got some questions about how that's going to work and kind of probably the upper end talent of the roster, if that's fair.
He's arguing with me, Nick, because I said, I could see what they want to do. They want to be able to shoot the three and space the floor. And he goes, I don't know, man. I don't know. So like that's the supposition in the offseason that he's talking about.
I got it. I like the context.
So, I mean, the supposition was like, yeah, everybody kind of wants to do that, but are you good enough? Like that's Like, yeah, we'd love to be able to shoot the ball. That'd be terrific. But so you start there, and what to you has been the differentiator that takes you from where we started, where we're not necessarily in love with the roster, even if we can see what they're trying to do, like DP was.
Knock it off.
Is it? And then you have this other thing where I feel like people aren't telling the truth about Rienk Mast right now, because he was good 2 years ago. He was not in the neighborhood of this in terms of being fully in control of a basketball game, seemingly at all times. Like, that is that the biggest differentiator for you between what you saw with the roster and what you're seeing now? Or is it something else or a combination of factors?
Yeah, I mean, the cop-out answer is probably a combination of a lot of that. I do think every offense they have to give you something you absolutely have to respect and get you into rotation. Does that make sense? Like, so you got to kind of start there with your offense. What is it that you do that puts your defense in conflict, that gets one domino to fall and another domino to fall, and then all of a sudden you're either attacking a closeout or you're getting an open shot or whatever. The ball is moving, or the ball is where it needs to be in a scoring position. And Rienk Mast so far has provided a lot of that. But the other thing that has provided a lot of it is Bryce Sanford's movement.
Yeah, he gets downhill.
And just Damon, he's one of those guys. And this is why also I think the Asian injury is going to end up being a little bit bigger of a deal than you think.
I agree with you there, though, from spacing. Yeah. I am 100% with you.
Yes, because he's like Bryce Sanford in that when you run those guys off of pin downs and off of baseline staggered screens and different things, you better stay attached to their body, and there better be an extra set of eyes on him when he's coming off those screens, whether it's a switch or a hedge or whatever. And I guess the thing that has impressed me is they've been able to get the dominoes falling defensively off of Rienk's versatility and the three-point shooting's movement and gravity. And last year, a lot of what got things going was simply Bryce Williams driving it, or Jawan Gary driving it. And so, and you see that in a lot of cases where sometimes it's just an individual player's ability to come off an on-ball screen and just like make a play. They're not blessed with a lot of that. And Fred Hoiberg knows that. So they don't try to do a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if X's and O's and three-point shooting and a versatile big would be able to manufacture enough offense. And so far, I stand completely corrected. They have been excellent in that. They really, and it helps to have glue guys that understand it in Sam Hoiberg and Cale Jacobson and those guys. But man, Nebraska effing executes. Mm-hmm. Like they know exactly what they're trying to do. They screen with a purpose. They cut with a purpose. They know why is this two-way go on a Bryce Sanford come off a pin down on one side or a stagger on another side, and what if the defense handles it this way, how they're supposed to react and read it. Everybody completely understands that, and that's what's allowed them to kind of flourish offensively. And I feel like when you watch Nebraska, they are absolutely, and it's cliche, but they are that classic, like the sum of the parts is better than the individual pieces. And sometimes we get too caught up in individual pieces. You know, like you look at like a Rutgers last year. It's like, yeah, I see Ace Bailey. I see Dylan Harper, like ballers, right?
That team sucked.
But like, okay, we're not playing 2-on-2. We're playing 5-on-5 in Division I college basketball. And this is not a shot at Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey, but I'm just using them as an example as how sometimes we can get too caught up in top-end talent and individual pieces and forget that you do play basketball 5-on-5. And it's about how the whole picture looks. And when I watch Nebraska play, the whole picture looks pretty darn good. And I think a lot of it is just they have a complete understanding of who they are, what they're trying to do, where their bread's buttered, where is not a good situation for those guys. It is, and you contrast that with like Creighton, for example, and they're still searching for that. But I know that was a long answer, Ravi, but that's kind of how I have been digesting it so far.
That's why we like talking to you, though. We like in-depth answers. And listen, it's me and you, so we're going to talk fluidity, right? That's the thing. We're because it'll give you. I want to talk about the conference too, and especially as it pertains to Wisconsin tonight, because they can score. And you're talking about the sum of the parts, and I do want to talk fluidity and how they so defensively the no middle. Our group text, I mean, it's me, Matt DeMarinis, it's Padilla, it's Rob. It's like, all right, we talk.
That's a good crew.
It's wild. It is wild, Nick. I never thought 3 years removed I'd be in the middle of this, but so we're talking no middle and how Nebraska likes to defend. And I think the guy we're forgetting about, and he has to be huge tonight with how Wisconsin plays. I just watched them put up 96 on Marquette, is Rienk Mast. When Nebraska is it looks like a mad scramble. It almost looks unorganized at times. It's like, wow, we're just willing to leave a wing shooter wide. It looks like a scramble drill, but he's so savvy in terms of like how versatile he is and who he can guard in these concepts. How critical is it that if you can get him offensively to understand shot selection, that his health has been as instrumental as almost anything Nebraska's trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that like the one thing that Nebraska does lack, which is just like almost irrefutable, is just a little bit of size and just pure athleticism. And Rienk Mast may not be the most athletic guy in the world, but he's got good size and he's physical. And one of the things Fred Hoiberg, I asked him at shoot around, I was like, okay, what's something that you feel like still is really concerning to you, or you got to kind of continue to grow at? And he said, I'm worried about us rebounding, continuing to rebound. And that's where Rienk Mast is super important. And his ability to be able to fly around and go and clean up the defensive glass. And what can be hard when you get into all those scrambles is you can get into cross matches on the defensive glass. So all of a sudden, Sam Hoiberg's trying to wrestle Owen Freeman, and Rienk Mast has maybe got an athletic wing that's flying over the top of him. And so you've got to have a bunch of guys that are really thinking about putting a body on somebody and going and getting the ball. And so, yeah, Rienk Mast never gonna. I shouldn't say never. He's not necessarily built to just wow you offensively, at least right now. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have incredible value with his ability to understand the defensive system, which is a little. I mean, there's a lot to it. I mean, you're in rotation. You got to know who's got your back, where you're flying out to, where you're positioned if the ball is in a certain spot, and having it be his second year in the system. Mast understands those things, and I think because he understands those things, he's in a better position, not only defensively, but to clean up the glass as well. So, yes, I mean, whether it's him or Jared Garcia or even Frager to a certain extent, I sometimes like it when they slide Frager to the 4 at times, just because it's a different look offensively. But Frager vertically is a big-time athlete.
Yeah, he's a menace, too, because he has no confidence issues.
No, he does not. No, he certainly does not lack for that at all. He needs no encouragement to go get busy. And so, yeah, it's got to be a group effort, to cover up some of the deficiencies defensively, and on the glass as well. And Mast has done a good job of that so far. I mean, I know he was only 1 for 6 from the floor the other day, but he grabbed double-digit rebounds, and that stuff's super duper important.
All right, so you obviously have to start with Blackwell and what Wisconsin wants to do. They had the offensive of BYU got away from them early in the season when BYU hammered them, but TCU was a little bit of a little sluggy. How do you think Wisconsin wants to play, and where do you think they belong relative? It's a tight line. I think it's only Nebraska 2.5, Nick. And Nebraska's at home, which leads me to believe that Wisconsin, they get a ton of respect. Where do you start with these guys?
Well, I mean, anytime a team plays Nebraska, you start with the 3-point line, but I also think you have to start there with when Wisconsin plays really anybody. So it's not necessarily just a matchup-specific thing. but I think it's one of the evolutions in the ways that Greg Gard and the Wisconsin identity has evolved. I think they kind of they came to a realization a couple of years ago, like, you know what, this walk the ball up the floor and try to beat everybody 55-53 just you know, I always like I love the Sam McEwen analogy he uses with Iowa football, where it's like Iowa's like gravity. They pull everybody to them, and that can be good teams or bad teams. And I think Wisconsin was a little bit like that on the basketball court. And so I think with Wisconsin, it starts with their 3-point shooting. And Blackwell has certainly kind of seemingly taken that next step into being kind of that number one scorer. I like the two guard additions though, in Boyd and Andrew Rohde. I mean, Rohde, once upon a time, he was at St. Thomas as a freshman, and Greg McDermott was drooling over Rohde. They wanted Rohde bad when he hit the portal a couple of years ago, and he ended up going to Virginia. But Mac really liked the versatility of Rohde. He was like, I think he can kind of be like a little Gibbsy that's kind of got a 3-point shot too. And so I think they've done a good job finding the right guys. I mean, so it starts there with Wisconsin, their ability to spread you out and shoot the three. They're kind of similar to Nebraska in that regard. You know, Nolan Winter's a versatile big, kind of like Rienk Mast that can step out and shoot it a little bit. He's skilled and can pass. And they got guys that can spread the floor and shoot it. So to me, when I look at Wisconsin and the new version of them, the 3-point shooting, and then because of the matchup, it's going to be super important. I mean, Wisconsin, they make 11 threes a game. They're top 20 in the country in 3-point field goals made per game, just like Nebraska is.
Dude, they score 88 a night.
No, it's kind of not. It's people have to kind of recalibrate how they view Wisconsin. This is an offensive minded team that wants to kind of outscore you. And so, you know, how comfortable Nebraska how uncomfortable Nebraska can make them offensively is going to be important. And you remember last year, they that was one of the poorer performances in Madison last year. Wisconsin just hammered Nebraska at their place a year ago. So I mean, they understand what this defensive system, what you have to do against it, and so we'll see how well Nebraska can take away the paint in the middle and get back and contest and run certain guys off the line.